All right, so we just discussed some timing ideas to help fire you into a blues and hopefully, put your period at the end of the sentence when you want to. But also we're going to talk about the timing of the blues. Now, this is stuff we already talked about in our class, but the idea here is to really start to think about what the timing of the 12-bar blues has to offer you as a lead player. So this section is about the one chord, all right? So how many times does the one chord appear in a 12-bar blues? Well, there's 4 bars of it in the beginning, there's 2 bars in the middle, and there's a bar and a half of it at the end. So let's see, 4 plus 2 is 6, so you got like 7.5 bars of it. And that's a dominant structure, that's the dominant piece of a 12-bar blues. I hope I did the math right. And the idea here is it's the one chord that you want to take advantage of. And all of these pieces that we talked about throughout the cupcake and throughout the frosting need to be timed for the one chord and your playing to line up. So what the heck am I talking about? Well, when you're on the one chord, you're going to look for several things, okay? The first thing is, leading in, we talked about that 4 and a 1, one is trying to hit a 1, trying to hit a 1, or a 1 on that downbeat. Right when we start, we want to be there. That's an option. And so you want to know where your 1s are. And if I'm playing the blues, and I come in on the 1, boom, I'm with the music, I'm with the authority, everyone in the audience goes, yes, he's with it. So coming in on the 1s is very important. Now during that time also, we have a lot that we can do. The one chord itself, the A7, that has the 1s, the 3s, the 5s, and the flat 7s. You can also try to come in on these notes. I find that one of the better notes to come in is the 5, but by taking the 4 right here and bending it up to the 5. Now, this is not a secret, but this is like John Mayer does this, Clapton, everybody does this. The 4 bent to the 5 is one of the sweetest sounds that it is a chord tone, but the ear, it wants it to come home. All right, so when you're on the one chord, bending the 4 up to a 5 is another option. When do you do this? Well, you do it on the downbeat of the 1. You can do it whenever you have that 4 bars of the 1. Just bending the 4 into the 5, which is a chord tone, is huge. Another option that we have that we see in the blues is when you look at that chord, the major third. Now, I've got to say something here. A lot of people, we look at this major third and we go, ooh, we want to play it. But the problem is that the major third, we don't find, it's a flash in the pan, just like the flat 5 I talked about. The idea is if we put the major third in a lot, the blues kind of disappears and it becomes a jazzy blues. The most important thing about playing the blues is the minor third. It's the minor third of this pentatonic, and I should have mentioned this in that pentatonic portion, but you're getting it now. The idea is that minor third is the grit of the blues. When you're playing the blues, that minor third of the minor pentatonic on top of the major third of that chord gives you the blues sound. But a great note to come in on and really exploit when you're on the 1 is taking the minor third and doing what is called a blues curl. Bending that minor third towards the major third. Not there. You're not going. It's on its way. And it wants to come right back home to the 1. So on the 1 chord, we have lots of options. Hitting the 1, bending a 4 to a 5, or even, getting that minor third curl in there. These are things you see a lot of on the 1 chord. And so take this information, maybe get an A7 on your looper, boom, 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 and just sit and create some opening licks and some closing licks with root notes, 4s bent to 5s, minor thirds curled a little bit. All right, it's so important. And I'll leave you with this last piece of advice. As I'm sitting here playing, my mission is to try and convey to you the ease of the blues, so that you can get down and play on your own. And I wanted to mention this. It just popped into my head, which is this finger here. When you're soloing right here, I have a video on my YouTube channel. It's probably really underrated, but in my opinion, it's the most important, okay, which is blues finger. Being able to lay your finger down on the G, B, and E string like this. This lets you get riffs in that blues fashion. If I did this, you can see how that finger didn't move, but if I play it moving, it sounds a little more jazzy, a little more pop to it, and licks, when you keep your first finger down, all right, that was a combination of all the stuff I just talked about, but trying to keep my finger here down, you can lift it a little bit and move it, but playing with this thing locked down, I call it blues finger, really helps you not only like play the licks and know they sound right, but really execute a blues sound. So this is our section on what to do on a one chord. Hit ones, fours bent to fives, blues curls. That's not the only thing I want to say. Again, that's not the only thing you can do. It's just check-ins, right? Okay, I did the four bent to the five, solo. I did the minor third bent to the curl, solo. I'm going to have my boys in the studio get a loop of just the one chord, just the A chord. And I'm going to play the examples of this. All you're going to hear are the examples I just talked about at first, and then I'm going to fill them in with some just pentatonic banter. Let's hear it. So that was just what I was talking about. It wasn't 12-hour blues, it was just a loop. And I'm practicing bending fours to fives, hitting ones on the ones, taking that minor third and curling it and coming back to a one. These are not licks. These are just like punctuations. You know, you're going to be playing the blues and then all of a sudden get into this stuff, and nobody escapes this. You can go and put on your favorite blues performance of all time. You're going to hear one of these, guaranteed. All right, because they're not thought of as licks. They're just like, here's my period, here's the exclamation point, maybe a question mark. It's how you feel about it. The next lesson, we're going to talk about what to do on the four chord. Thank you so much for being here.